The Galactic Empire, a vast and powerful force that ruled countless star systems, had recently turned its attention toward a small blue planet on the edge of the galaxy, Earth. To them, Earth was nothing more than a primitive backwater world, home to a species that seemed to lack the sophistication or technological prowess to matter in galactic affairs. It was an easy target, and the Empire decided to include it in their expanding territory. On Earth, however, the people remained blissfully unaware of the looming threat. Life continued as usual. Traffic jams clogged city streets, children played in parks, and governments squabbled over trivial matters. Among the noise, one woman noticed something unusual. Dr. Eleanor Grant, an astronomer at a small observatory in the Rocky Mountains, had spent her nights peering at the stars, mapping their movements, and searching for anomalies. One evening, as Eleanor reviewed her latest observations, a strange reading caught her attention. A faint but consistent pattern in Earth's orbit indicated something unusual, shadows that didn't belong to any known celestial body. At first, she thought it might be an error in her equipment. She recalibrated her telescope and rechecked her data, but the readings were consistent. Something large and artificial was out there, just beyond Earth's orbit. Eleanor's heart raced. She knew this wasn't a natural phenomenon. It had the precision of something engineered, something alien. Far above the planet, hidden from human eyes, the Galactic Empire had indeed sent a reconnaissance fleet to observe Earth. The ships, sleek and metallic, hovered silently in the dark void of space. From their vantage point, the alien crew monitored Earth's broadcasts, gathering information about the strange species below. "What a chaotic race," remarked an officer aboard the lead vessel. His name was Commander Threlek, a tall, gray-skinned being with sharp, angular features. He sneered as he watched a human news broadcast. They bicker among themselves, waste resources, and rely on outdated technology. This conquest will be effortless. The crew laughed, their confidence unshaken. To them, Earth's inhabitants were nothing more than primitive creatures, barely worth the effort it would take to subjugate them. Back on Earth, Eleanor tried to alert the authorities. She compiled her data and sent urgent messages to the global scientific community. A few scientists took her findings seriously, but most dismissed them as errors or unproven theories. The world's governments were preoccupied with their own issues, unwilling to consider the possibility of extraterrestrial observation. Frustrated but determined, Eleanor continued her work in secret. She suspected that whoever, or whatever, was out there wasn't here for peaceful purposes. Her unease grew as she discovered more evidence: faint energy readings, unusual gravitational disturbances, and increasing anomalies in Earth's electromagnetic field. Meanwhile, the Galactic Empire's leaders received the first reports from their reconnaissance fleet. The data confirmed their suspicions. Earth was an easy target. Its inhabitants had no unified defense system, no advanced technology to match the Empire's power. The Imperial Council voted unanimously to proceed with their plans. Admiral Xaros, the commander of the invasion fleet, smiled as he received the orders. His fleet, the pride of the Empire, would soon descend upon the unsuspecting planet. "Earth will be a fine addition to our empire," he declared. "They won't even see us coming." But Admiral Xaros underestimated humanity. While the Empire saw Earth as weak and divided, they failed to recognize the resilience and ingenuity hidden within its people. Eleanor stared at the night sky through her telescope, feeling a mix of fear and resolve. If no one else believed her, she would find a way to prepare. The quiet hum of her equipment filled the room as she worked late into the night, determined to uncover the truth and protect her planet from whatever was lurking out there. Far above her, the Empire's fleet loomed, confident in their superiority, unaware that they were about to face a challenge unlike anything they had encountered before. The Galactic Empire's fleet inched closer to Earth, their massive ships cloaked in the darkness of space. On board the flagship, Admiral Xaros observed holographic projections of Earth's continents spinning slowly before him. With a dismissive wave, he ordered his officers to finalize preparations for the invasion. "This will be a show of dominance," he said, his voice sharp. "Their resistance will crumble before they even know we've arrived." The crew nodded, confident in their overwhelming technological superiority. They believed the humans, with their outdated satellites and rudimentary space programs, posed no real threat. Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Eleanor Grant refused to give up her warnings. Her frustration grew as more of her messages to international authorities went unanswered. She had sent detailed reports about the unusual readings she detected: shadows moving in Earth's orbit, disruptions in gravitational fields, but they were dismissed as anomalies or paranoia. One evening, as she worked alone in her observatory, her computer chimed with an alert. The faint energy signals she'd been tracking had grown stronger and more frequent. She knew this wasn't random. The movements were deliberate, like a fleet preparing for deployment. Eleanor leaned back in her chair, staring at the blinking lights on her screen. If the authorities wouldn't act, then someone else had to. Humanity needed to be warned. In a hidden underground facility in Nevada, an emergency meeting was underway. Though Eleanor's warnings had largely been ignored, a small group of military and scientific leaders had taken notice. Satellite operators had confirmed strange anomalies in orbit, matching some of Eleanor's data. These weren't natural phenomena. General Marcus Lee, a stern man with a reputation for taking risks, stood at the head of the table. "We can't sit idle and hope this goes away," he said firmly. "If there's even a chance this is real, we need to act now." "But what do we do?" asked Dr. Helen Alvarez, a physicist who had been studying the same anomalies. "We can't fight what we don't understand." General Lee frowned. "We send a message," he said after a moment of silence. "Something simple, something that shows we're not completely defenseless. If they're out there, maybe they'll think twice before underestimating us." In less than an hour, the team had crafted a short but bold message. It was transmitted on all known frequencies, aimed directly at the unusual signals in orbit. The message read, "Asterisk asterisk Earth is ready for you. Proceed at your own peril. Asterisk asterisk." Up in space, aboard the Galactic Empire's flagship, the message was intercepted and decoded. Admiral Xeros stood before the hologram of the transmission, his face twisting into a smirk. "Ready for us? What arrogance," he sneered. "They've barely left their atmosphere, and they think they can challenge the Empire." The officers on the bridge laughed in agreement, dismissing the message as empty bravado. But one voice broke through the confidence. Lieutenant Vena, a young but sharp strategist, stepped forward hesitantly. "Admiral, forgive me for speaking out of turn, but why would they send such a message if they had no means to defend themselves? What if this is a trap?" Admiral Xeros turned to her, his expression icy. "Trap? From these primitives? Lieutenant, you overestimate their intelligence. This is a desperate attempt to scare us." He waved her away. "Focus on the invasion plans." Still, Vena couldn't shake the unease gnawing at her mind. Something about the human's confidence didn't sit right with her. Back on Earth, the message sent shockwaves through the secret council. The leaders debated whether the warning was wise or reckless. "What if we've provoked them?" one official asked nervously. Dr. Alvarez spoke up. "If they're truly as advanced as we fear, they already see us as insignificant. The message might be the only thing that forces them to rethink their assumptions." In her observatory, Eleanor watched the skies, wondering if the aliens had received the message. She felt a strange mix of pride and fear. Humanity was far from unified or advanced, but it was still resilient and unpredictable. Maybe, just maybe, that would be enough to give them a chance. Far above, the Empire's fleet prepared to strike, their arrogance blinding them to the storm of resistance brewing below. Humanity's warning had been sent, but the question remained: would it be enough to make the Empire hesitate? The Galactic Empire's fleet continued its approach, their ships gliding silently through the vast emptiness of space. On board the flagship, Admiral Xeros reviewed the invasion plans once more. Everything was proceeding as expected, with no apparent resistance from Earth. He felt assured in the Empire's inevitable victory. But not everyone on the bridge shared his confidence. Lieutenant Vena had spent the last few hours analyzing the decoded human message. Despite the mockery it had received, something about it gnawed at her mind. Why would an inferior species dare to provoke the Empire? Was it desperation, or was there something more? She approached the Admiral cautiously. "Admiral Xaros," she began, keeping her voice steady. "I request permission to study Earth's history and technology further. Perhaps we've underestimated them." Xaros didn't bother hiding his irritation. "Lieutenant, you are wasting time. The humans are insignificant. Focus on your duties and leave the paranoia to others." Vena bit her lip but nodded. She couldn't openly defy the Admiral, but she also couldn't ignore her instincts. She decided to continue her research in secret, hoping to uncover something the Empire had overlooked. On Earth, the mood was tense. After sending the bold warning, the Secret Council anxiously awaited a response, or an attack. Dr. Eleanor Grant felt the weight of the situation more than anyone. She couldn't shake the fear that they might have provoked a far superior enemy. General Marcus Lee, however, remained resolute. "We've shown them we're not cowards," he said during a meeting with the Council. "Now we need to back that message with action. We must prepare for the worst." The Council agreed, and within hours, plans were set into motion. Hidden military installations across the globe activated, mobilizing experimental weapons and defense systems that had been developed in secret. While Earth's technology lagged behind the Empire's, humans had always excelled at one thing: innovation under pressure. In one such facility, Dr. Helen Alvarez and her team worked tirelessly on a project codenamed *Obsidian Strike*. It was Earth's most advanced weapon system, designed to harness directed energy, capable of penetrating even the strongest shields. But it was still untested in real combat. "Do you think this will work?" one of her colleagues asked as they calibrated the system. "It has to," Dr. Alvarez replied grimly. "Because if it doesn't, we won't have a second chance." Far above the planet, in the depths of space, the Empire's fleet began to take formation. Massive carriers, bristling with weapons, moved into position. Smaller, agile attack ships swarmed around them like a cloud of locusts. From Earth, their presence was invisible to the naked eye, but the observatories and satellites tracked every movement. In her observatory, Eleanor Grant monitored the data coming in. The fleet's size was staggering, far larger than she had initially estimated. She felt a chill run down her spine. If they attacked with full force, Earth's chances of survival were slim. Yet, as she gazed up at the stars, a spark of defiance ignited within her. Humanity had faced extinction before, natural disasters, pandemics, wars, and every time, it had emerged stronger. This would be no different. Eleanor sent a message to the Secret Council. "Whatever happens, we can't give up. We've come too far as a species to let this be the end. Fight with everything we have." Her words resonated with the Council, bolstering their resolve. Across the globe, military leaders, scientists, and even civilians began preparing for what seemed inevitable. Back on the Empire's flagship, Lieutenant Vena's private research bore unexpected fruit. As she delved into Earth's history, she was struck by humanity's resilience. Time and again, humans had turned the tide of seemingly hopeless situations. Their resourcefulness and unpredictability set them apart from every other species the Empire had encountered. She compiled her findings into a report and presented it to Admiral Xaros. "Sir, I strongly recommend we reassess our strategy," she said. "The humans may not have our technology, but their history shows they are far from defenseless. Underestimating them could be a grave mistake." Xaros glanced at the report, but dismissed it with a wave of his hand. "Enough of this nonsense, Lieutenant. Prepare for the attack. The humans will fall like all the others before them." Vena clenched her fists, frustration boiling inside her. She knew she couldn't stop the invasion, but she silently vowed to observe the humans closely. Something told her they were not as weak as the Admiral believed. As the Empire's fleet loomed ever closer, Earth's defenders stood ready. The humans knew they were outmatched, but they also knew they had one thing the Empire lacked: the determination to survive at any cost. The skies above Earth were still calm, but beneath that serenity lay a planet teeming with determination. In secret bunkers and hidden laboratories, humanity prepared for the fight of its existence. No one spoke of surrender. Fear lingered, yes, but it was dwarfed by the stubborn will to survive. General Marcus Lee paced the underground command center, his sharp eyes scanning holographic displays of the approaching enemy fleet. His voice, steady and commanding, cut through the tension in the room. The Empire thinks we're weak. Let's prove them wrong. Earth's greatest minds and soldiers had come together, pooling their expertise to prepare for the inevitable. Dr. Helen Alvarez, still working on the Obsidian Strike weapon, joined the meeting via a secure feed. "General, the weapon is nearly operational," she reported, her voice crackling slightly through the connection. "But we'll need a little more time to ensure it doesn't backfire." "You've got 2 days," General Lee replied firmly. "We don't know when they'll strike, but we have to be ready." In orbit, the Empire's fleet edged closer, their massive vessels casting ominous shadows over Earth's moon. Inside the flagship, Admiral Xeros stood in front of a massive viewport, gazing at the blue and green planet below. "They don't even know what's coming," he sneered. "By this time tomorrow, Earth will be ours." But not everyone shared his confidence. Lieutenant Vena, standing off to the side, couldn't shake the feeling that they were making a terrible mistake. Her research into humanity had shown her something the Admiral refused to acknowledge. Humans didn't fight like other species. They were unpredictable, innovative, and dangerous when cornered. "Admiral," she ventured cautiously, "shouldn't we at least send scouts to assess their defenses? It's possible they've prepared traps." Xeros turned to her with a smirk. "Traps? Against ***? Don't be ridiculous, Lieutenant. Earth is a backwater planet with primitive technology. They can barely leave their atmosphere." Vena bit her tongue, knowing any further argument would fall on deaf ears. She made a silent vow to keep her eyes open. If humanity had any surprises in store, she wanted to be ready. Down on Earth, Eleanor Grant watched the data feed in real time. The Empire's fleet was massive, a web of ships that seemed to blot out the stars. But she noticed something peculiar, an odd gap in their formation. Why would they leave their flank open? She murmured to herself. She quickly called General Lee. "I think I'd found a weak spot in their formation," she explained. "It's subtle, but if we can exploit it, we might have a chance to cripple their fleet." General Lee listened carefully, nodding. "Good work, Eleanor. Send the details to our tactical team. We'll need every advantage we can get." As plans were adjusted, Earth's forces began mobilizing. Hidden missile silos rose from beneath the ground, their warheads aimed skyward. Advanced drones powered up, their sleek frames shimmering with stealth technology. In the oceans, submarines equipped with prototype torpedoes moved into position. The Empire's fleet finally crossed into Earth's upper atmosphere. The first wave of ships, smaller but heavily armed, descended like vultures. They were met with immediate resistance. Earth's defenses sprang to life, missiles streaking into the sky and drones swarming like angry hornets. Admiral Xeros watched the battle unfold from the safety of his flagship. "Pathetic," he muttered as Earth's first wave of missiles was intercepted by the Empire's shields. But then something unexpected happened. A group of drones broke through the shields, targeting the engines of a mid-sized battleship. Explosions rippled across its surface, and moments later, the ship began to plummet. The bridge of the flagship erupted into chaos. "How did they penetrate our shields?" an officer shouted. Lieutenant Vena felt a surge of vindication, but kept her expression neutral. "It seems their technology is more advanced than we assumed, Admiral." Xeros scowled. "It doesn't matter. Their resistance is futile." But deep down, he wasn't so sure. On the ground, Eleanor and General Lee monitored the battle, their faces grim but determined. "We took down one ship," Eleanor said, her voice laced with both relief and urgency. "But they'll adapt quickly." General Lee nodded. "That's why we need Obsidian Strike operational now." Dr. Alvarez's voice came through the comms. "We're ready for a test run, General. If it works, we'll have a weapon that can level the playing field." "Good," Lee replied. "We'll hold them off as long as we can. Just make sure it works." The Empire's fleet was now fully engaged with Earth's defenses, and the battle was unlike anything they had faced before. On board the Imperial flagship, Admiral Xaros gripped the edge of his command console, his confident smirk replaced with a tight scowl. "This resistance is unexpected," he muttered, his voice laced with frustration. "How are they doing this?" Lieutenant Vena stepped forward cautiously, sensing her chance to speak. "Admiral, I've been reviewing their tactics. They're using unconventional strategies, exploiting weaknesses we didn't realize we had. Humans are adapting to us faster than we're adapting to them." Xeros glared at her. "Are you suggesting we underestimated them?" "Yes," she replied firmly. "And if we don't change our approach, this battle could turn against us." Her words stung his pride, but the Admiral could no longer ignore the evidence. He turned to his officers. "Deploy the second wave. Hit them with everything we've got. Show them the might of the Empire." On the ground, General Lee watched as the second wave of Imperial ships descended. These were larger, more heavily armed vessels, and their firepower was devastating. Earth's defenses were holding, but just barely. "We need more time." Eleanor shouted over the chaos in the command center. General Lee's expression was grim. "We don't have time, Eleanor. Either Dr. Alvarez gets Obsidian Strike operational now, or this is over." Suddenly, Alvarez's voice came through the comms, sharp and urgent. "General, the weapon is ready. We're uploading targeting data now." "Good," Lee replied, his voice steady despite the pressure. "This is our shot. Let's make it count." The Obsidian Strike weapon, hidden deep beneath a mountain range, came to life. Its systems hummed with power, and its targeting systems locked onto the Imperial flagship. This wasn't just a weapon. It was Earth's ultimate trump card, designed to disable enemy ships with precision strikes. Eleanor watched the progress bar on her console. Targeting locked in 10 seconds. 9. 8. Above, the Empire's second wave unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, causing destruction across the surface. Cities were under siege, and humanity's forces were pushed to their limits. But they didn't falter. For every city under attack, 10 more stood defiant, ready to fight. In the Imperial flagship, Xaros leaned forward, a cruel smile returning to his face. "See, resistance is futile. They'll break soon." But just as the words left his mouth, alarms blared across the ship. "What's happening?" he barked. "Unidentified energy signature," an officer shouted. "It's coming from the planet." Back in the command center, Eleanor's voice was calm but resolute. "Target locked. Firing in 3, 2, 1. A blinding beam of energy shot from the Obsidian Strike tearing through the atmosphere and striking the Imperial flagship. The ship shuddered violently as systems overloaded, sparks flying across the bridge. Admiral Xeros was thrown to the floor, his confidence shattered. What is this?" Lieutenant Vena, still standing, stared at the damage readouts. "It's them, Admiral. The humans. They've been preparing for us all along." The Empire's fleet was stunned. Their flagship, the symbol of their dominance, was crippled in a single strike. Panic rippled through the ranks as Earth's forces pushed back with renewed vigor. On the ground, cheers erupted in the command center. General Lee allowed himself a small smile. "That's the first blow," he said. "Now let's finish this." Humanity had made its move, and for the first time, the Empire knew fear. The battle wasn't over. But the tide had turned. Earth wasn't just fighting to survive. It was fighting to win. The shockwaves from the Obsidian Strike echoed through space, and the once imposing Imperial fleet was in chaos. Admiral Xeros stumbled to his feet, his uniform singed from the blast. The view screens around him were filled with reports of failing systems and panic across the fleet. How could they do this? Xeros growled, his hands trembling as he gripped the command console. Admiral, the flagship is compromised. Lieutenant Vena reported, her voice tense. We've lost control of several key systems. Our shields are failing. Xeros felt a cold sweat run down his spine. The humans had done it. They had struck at the heart of their might. He slammed his fist onto the console in frustration. Send in the remaining ships. We can't let this planet survive. But as he gave the order, the fleet around him started to fall apart. One by one, Imperial ships were destroyed, their own weapons turned against them by Earth's defense systems. The Obsidian Strike had not only crippled the flagship, it had triggered a chain reaction across the Imperial forces. On Earth, General Lee and his team watched from their command center as the remaining Imperial ships faltered. The tide had turned in their favor, but they knew they couldn't stop now. This battle was far from over. We need to finish this, General Lee said, his tone serious. We've hit them hard, but they still have forces out there. We can't let them regroup. Eleanor, her eyes glued to the screens, nodded. We're targeting their main command stations now. If we can disable those, their fleet will be useless. Make it happen, Lee ordered. This is our chance. Don't waste it. In the depths of space, the last remnants of the Imperial fleet gathered near the edge of Earth's atmosphere. The remaining ships were battered and disorganized, with crew members scrambling to regain control. It was clear the Empire was losing, but they refused to surrender. Xeros, still reeling from the earlier destruction, stared at the view screen. His hands gripped the edges of the console so tightly his knuckles turned white. We'll make them pay for this, he muttered, his voice filled with rage. His officers exchanged worried glances but said nothing. The Admiral's obsession with victory was now clouded by fear, and they knew it was only a matter of time before the humans completely dismantled their forces. Back on Earth, Lee's forces launched the final assault. The Obsidian Strike had weakened the Empire's hold, but Earth's military was now fully mobilized. Fighters soared through the sky, taking out the remaining Imperial ships with precision. We've got them on the run, one of the commanders reported. Their forces are scattered. We've got control of their comms. Eleanor grinned. Now it's time to finish it. As the last of the Imperial fleet broke apart, Admiral Xeros could only watch helplessly. His forces were in disarray, and Earth's military was closing in fast. He knew this was the end. I failed, he whispered, the weight of his failure pressing down on him. The Empire had underestimated humanity, and now it was too late to fix it. For the first time, Xeros realized the truth. The Galactic Empire had no chance against the ingenuity and resilience of Earth's people. General Lee stood in the command center, a look of determination on his face. This is it. We've won. Let's bring our people home. The battle was over, and Earth had emerged victorious. The Empire had underestimated them, and now they were paying the price. The message was clear. Humanity was not to be underestimated. The final battle was over. The Empire's fleet was shattered, and its forces scattered across space. Earth had emerged victorious. But the war was not just about defeating an enemy. It was about proving that humanity could stand against the strongest force in the galaxy. And they had done it. General Lee stood on the bridge of a newly restored warship, gazing at the stars beyond. The Earth was still under threat, but it had proven one powerful lesson. Humans were not to be underestimated. Eleanor approached, her expression one of quiet relief. We did it, General. The Empire won't be back. Lee nodded slowly, his gaze fixed on the stars. Yes, but we can't let our guard down. This victory is just the beginning. There are other threats out there, and we've just shown them what we're capable of." As he spoke, the sound of footsteps echoed behind him. Turning, Lee saw Dr. Alvarez enter the room, her face full of pride. The obsidian strike worked better than we ever imagined, she said, her voice full of awe. "It's a weapon unlike any the Empire has ever seen." Lee smiled slightly. It was our ace in the hole. Without it, we would have been overwhelmed. "But we still had to fight," Alvarez said, her eyes sparkling with determination. "And we fought well. The Empire was too focused on their power to see how strong we truly are." In the wake of the battle, Earth's leaders gathered to discuss the future. The Empire had crumbled, but the damage it had caused could not be ignored. Cities had been destroyed, and countless lives had been lost. However, humanity had not only survived, it had triumphed. "We've proven to the galaxy that we're not weak," General Lee spoke at the gathering. "We may be a young species, but we are strong, adaptable, and united when it counts." The room was filled with nods of agreement. "We'll rebuild," Lee continued. "Stronger, faster, and smarter. And we'll prepare for whatever comes next." In space, the remnants of the Empire's fleet drifted, their remaining ships powerless and abandoned. What had once been a symbol of invincibility was now a testament to humanity's strength. The Galactic Empire had underestimated Earth, and they had paid the price. Admiral Xaros, the once proud leader of the Imperial forces, was captured. His face was a mix of defeat and disbelief. "How did they do it?" he asked, his voice filled with defeat. "How did they defeat the might of the Empire?" One of the human soldiers standing near him responded with quiet pride. "Because we fight for something worth protecting. And we never give up." Back on Earth, life was slowly returning to normal. People were rebuilding their homes, their cities, and their lives. But now, they carried with them a new sense of pride. They had proven to themselves and the galaxy that they were more than just survivors. They were fighters. And the Empire had learned it the hard way. As the years passed, Earth's place in the galaxy changed. Other civilizations began to take notice, not out of fear, but out of respect. Earth had earned its place, and no one would ever again underestimate the power of humanity. General Lee watched as the stars glittered in the distance, his mind racing with possibilities. The Empire thought it could crush us, he thought. But we've only just begun to show the galaxy what we're capable of. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, it was also full of hope.